Good evening once again, and welcome to Sports Talk. And I did tell you that we will be having a discussion this evening on that. And our guest this evening, none other, and I would like to call him or refer to him as the iconic George Goaty Robinson. Of course, once you hear that name, I'm sure immediately the first of many things that would come to your mind is track and field. Definitely so. He has done so much, and this evening he's joining me. We will be chatting about sports in Grenada, its development through the years, and of course, you will have the opportunity if you want to call and maybe through a question or share an experience. We'll definitely accommodate you. So hey, get ready. We're talking sports, and of course, it's a good time to welcome our guest this evening, none other than Mr. George Goaty Robinson. Goaty, good evening and welcome. It's such a pleasure to be in your company. It's been years.
Thank you very much, Godfrey, first for the invitation. I welcome the opportunity to continue my advocacy with regards to the unprejudiced and genuine struggle that I've been having over the years with regards to the development of sports administration in Grenada, despite what I say is my rejection by the Grenada Olympic Committee, who I actually had to extend my advocacy through the courts, which were in fact very genuine. It has been a long struggle, and I also would like to further thank GBN, you and GBN, for giving me this opportunity. And specifically, I would also like to really thank three special people who have struggled with me over these years and ensuring the new today, George Rome, in actual fact, where my real struggle started, not struggle again, where I got the opportunity to really do what I want to do, to speak out, because prior to that it's all about writing, and maybe in the 80s and so we had the newspaper articles, so everybody could have bought a newspaper and follow the sport news. There was journalists in every sports reporter in the newspaper, in every radio station had a sports journalist program. And I also wish, I should very much thank Michael Bascom, because as far as I'm concerned, he has been and is still the only real sports journalist that carries sports, Grenada sport.
He has done quite a bit.
This guy he has been, prior to migrating, he was basically one of the top journalists.
Well, when you heard the name Michael Bascom, that's the other way you spell sports in Grenada.
Yeah, very much so. So
yes.
Thanking people and following it, I can't leave out that name anytime I get on the radio and talk about the state of journalism in regards to, unfortunately, but he still carries his program.
Yes,
in actual fact,
he does.
He's the only person that actually have a program with regards to the development of sports in Grenada.
Right.
That I'm aware of, I should say so.
Right. So, Goaty, before we get into some of the struggles and challenges, for the benefit of people who don't know Goaty and maybe the younger folks and don't know your contribution, because when we talk sports in Grenada now, maybe the first name that comes to mind is Kirani James, track and field, and then of course we have the others who are doing very, very well. But before the Kiranis and the Lindons and all the others, there were people who laid the foundation, and one of those persons was yourself. And I can say that without a shadow of a doubt, because I have benefited from your expertise and your knowledge of sports in my sporting years. And those of you who are surprised to hear that, Goaty here can vouch for me, all right?
Yeah, jumping.
So Goaty, before we get into all the struggles, let's just briefly talk a little bit about Goaty. I know you've been involved heavily in culture and sports in particular, and community development. So tell us a little bit briefly, take a few minutes to talk about who really is George Goaty Robinson.
First of all, I must say that I belong to the St. Paul's community. The fact that you're so broad.
Everybody from St. Paul's, they just had to say they're from St. Paul's.
Yeah, no, well.
And I'm sure Flying Turkey is listening, and he's probably cracking up.
With all that. And then, the other part of me, you see that I chose my wear this evening. PVC, Presentation Brothers College.
I mean, you have the right color. You have the right color, but the wrong arm.
The community and PVC has given me the formation.
Right.
That I'm so proud of today. Talking about PVC, I might have been one of the lesser academic students, but the basic discipline, and if I could put it in a simple way, that academics was not all about PVC when I entered PVC. PVC, in actual fact, in the 60s and prior, was basically referred to as academics.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
Yes.
When I entered PVC in the mid-70s, the guys would say there's PVC girls and the like. So PVC in itself, actually, from a religious standpoint, is part of our religious studies, being part of our academics. We knew that it was, not everyone everyone had a gift that was taught in PVC in your early stages, and it's only in my late years that I discover. I won't tell you what it is, but what my gift is. Gift is not about, as I said, it's not who he could in school, but everyone had a gift. Some we seem to think that gift is a talent that you have, or how much God give you, and the like. But we learned that every single PBC boy had a gift. You will discover it, and you will find it. Right? So my sporting career, because we're talking sports basically, that started at PBC.
Right.
As an athlete. My first intercall was, I've been in the intercall system since 1967.
Right.
Right? 68 was basically my first intercall. And my last one was in 1972.
Right.
Part of a team, as I said, we had an aim when we entered PVC to change the whole thing about PVC. We actually, my era, and PVC won to 1970 and 1972 intercall. I was also part of the continuation of the two other intercalls in 1977 that PVC won. So we also changed. In actual fact, we were not only PVC had the only cricket team in my time, because cricket and lawn tennis and so was basically the sport that was dominated before definitely. We continued that tradition because PBC was the only school in the late 60s, 70s that had a first division cricket team.
Okay.
Yeah, we had guys in those days, the 72, just before leaving school, the 72 PBC, the Windward Islands tournament that was held in Grenada. In actual fact, the team, I think, consisted of about 16 persons, and 9 of us selected was from the PVC.
Wait, hold on, let me stop you there. You said 9 of us. Explain that.
Okay, 9 PVC students, 9 PVC athletes, and remember.
But when you say us, I'm getting the feeling that you're including yourself.
Excuse me. Anyway.
No, but I didn't know you were a cricketer. I mean, I'm hearing that for the first time.
No. You had to be at 3 sports. I had to basically football, track and field,
and cricket.
And I could have held my hand in cricket.
Right.
And you had to be, there were only 2 specialists or 3 specialists, I think, on that team that I could remember. It was Evelyn Maitland for track, and there was Ray Charles, I think, from TBSS, a spinner cricketer. Most of the other guys played either 2 or 3 of sports, could have made the team.
Right.
And in those days, Grenada was dominant.
Right.
Was dominant in the Windward Island games. Prior to my time in regards to playing football also. I mean, and mind you, I was like, you know.
You're going to hold your edge. You're going to hold your edge. You're going to hold your edge.
I was average. Right. So from that is where basically PBC sort of was dominant. We were lucky, the group of guys in my time that graduated between 70, they were the ones that would have graduated in 70, in 71, or in 72, 73, the Lane brothers and the like. We were all lucky. First hand. Yeah. Right. I remember, especially coming out of PBC, GBSS was it. Anything you talk sports, the big clubs in town, even GBSS. If you went to GBSS, you got onto a dauntless force.
Right.
You had to be a dauntless. It's guys like Joseph Cummins, and so they got in because they were top notch. Yeah, you would know of Joseph Cummins, one of our great sportsmen. In actual fact, he should have been one of the early guys making the West Indies team.
Right.
That was when Finley got it, not before him. But he went on to play football. So there were like 2 to get into Atoms was another kind of thing club. So you know I was good because I got into that.
Well, I mean, I'm used to that. That's the thing. I'm hearing these things for the first time.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
No. So both juniors and seniors, a track and field was my game.
Right.
So my passion actually, my initial career ambition was to be a sports. I mean, I had opportunities that changed quite in the 80s, coming out of the revolution. At that point in time, it was about. You remember me being in St. Andrew's SAS Associated?
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I'm just trying to lay the foundation here so people kind of get to understand your exploited sports, because a lot of people probably don't know. They probably got the name.
I went into, in actual fact, my athletic career ended in between 1972, the whole decade, between 1972, representing Grenada as a junior, to 1982, representing Grenada as a senior.
Yes.
Being involved in athlete coaching.
Well, 82 when you ended, that's when, well, mine started before, but 82, that's when I made my first character team and came back with 2 medals. You would know that because you were one of the coaches on the team that went with us. So let's fast forward a bit, Goaty. Your PBC days, of course, as a young man growing up, you were involved in sports, and fast forward, you got involved in molding other athletes to become sportsmen. Let's talk about that period briefly. Your coaching and mentoring of young people into the sport.
In 1979, I was fortunate to have been selected as not working in the Ministry of Sports, but my sporting and basically employed with Grenada Motor in general. Mabel and Son at the time. I really wanted to make my career in sport.
Right. So
I was seconded from my job to go to do an OAS course because remember in 1979-80 they had this program in Mexico.
Yes.
Grenada had 4 specialist coaches. I was selected to be, because on my involvement in track and field, as a track and field coach. There were 3 other coaches. This is Kenny Hobson for volleyball. This is Tyrone Harvin for football. It's not Ian Redhead. Well, sorry when you know a nickname, the Pussy Redhead. Gordon Redhead.
Yeah, Gordon Redhead.
For basketball. So I went for track and field.
Track and field, yes.
In actual fact, I stayed on a little while after the guys because they returned. We didn't all return together. And it was a basic diploma course. In actual fact, my roommate actually got me back was the same Glenn Mill, Usain Bolt coach.
Right, okay.
Glenn and I used to be in the same room.
Right.
Well, I call him Dr. Mill at that point.
Yeah.
Dr. Glenn. So that was when I actually came back. When I came back, I actually was sort of seconded again into the Ministry of Sport.
Right.
Basically, involved in the revolution, as I say, at that point in time, education, sport was part of education.
Yeah, it was.
Sport was definitely
I remember they had this, that they used to have this emulation ceremony.
And the same CV program came out of that. It was not like only us, secondary school students, but basically, so my involvement, as I say, in track and field got more intense.
Mm-hmm.
And so from 79, 80 was when I actually was there. When I discovered that it seemed to be no future or anything. You got paid. I mean, I can't call the guy salary, but I was working. For twice and three times one time and some patterns were working hard, and they were class 2 clerks.
Right.
When I discovered I was a class 3. If I stayed on in the ministry, there was no way I stick around. But in those days, it was volunteerism.
Right.
That is where eventually I will tell you now that I learned that the gift that I had long years after was volunteerism.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So in actual fact, I got that from sport, and as you say, I made my mark and I made my contribution.
Yeah.
So,
and you've worked with a lot of athletes, and I said earlier, I was lucky to work with you to help develop my craft and so on and so forth. And then I remember you, of course, during my character years between 82 and 85, you were coach and management and all of that, administrative and all of that. And then I remembered also the association then was the GAA and CA, Green Athletic and Cycling Association, I think it was, at the time.
Everyone would remember, and I would say, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, Grenada had Whitsunday Games, was like one of the big Caribbean games. Other than that, especially in the Southern Hemisphere, Grenada, Whitsunday, Texaco, Games Trinidad.
Yes, I remember.
But we had athletes coming from Suriname, Panama, all the South
Guyana,
America.
yes.
We go to the north. We didn't have I can't remember Jamaicans coming, but cycling on the same grass track that we ran on was a big thing. We had cyclists coming from all over, including I mean, and this is no joke, the big names like Gibbon and so in the oldies. We had some very good cyclists. I can remember the Rennicks, Roger Bayer, Brown. I mean, we had the Garrett brothers, and the Grenada Cycling Association. With the Windward Islands Games, I remember there was a team big. I think most of the members, especially the ladies, would remember that. The Michelle Huckleys, the Hazel Basinski, and the Sally Ann Williams. They were, I think, 4 or 5 of them on the Windward Island teams. There were teams with about 9, 10 people. And they actually won with a small team, Oliver Lake, Donald Pierre, the cyclists, and so they actually dominated the game with at least maybe teams 3 times bigger than them. So Esther Williams, that I think these were the ladies. Important part of all our teams, as you would realize from those days, had and involved women.
Right.
So, so that in itself was part of the whole. I was fortunate to have good mentors, both as coach, the Gordon Wards, the Gibbs, and whatever it is. With administration, when I got into administration, the Dr. Pitts to Mr. Alistair Clouden. Even when I became president, I had these people to guide me. I learned so much, and in actual fact, at one point in time, I used to say, "Hey, I'm the boss here."
yeah. Like in the old Chinese movies, the teacher would train the student, and later the student come and be the teacher.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But Goaty, this is so very interesting. I'm really enjoying this discussion thus far. So over the years, from when you started as a young boy, in the track and field, then you became coach and so on and so forth, then at the level of organization and all of that. Briefly, sports in Grenada, are you satisfied with the development from then to where we are today? Or could we have done better, or we've exceeded expectations?
With regards to, we have exceeded expectation, and that is one of my worries that I have. Well, not worry, is concern, I should say, is that before me, when you talk football, I still see today, and I've seen them a lot, I might put Patty, I'm not talking skill now. That is Nixon's brother. Nixon has risen now, whatever it is. I'm talking of whoever inducted. There would have been Shallery. There would have been Steve Mark.
Right.
And so would have gone. And I won't forget to tell people there's a guy called Ram Folks who I know.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it's basically, when I'm talking about like me, footballer, administrator, the works. But prior to my football in Grenada, when I was growing up, I'm talking about a teenager going into the thing. No football team could match with what I have seen and known and played with Grenada football winning Popham, Winnow Island tournament. These guys, if football could be played as these guys played in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, as far as what I could see, there's a lot of names, there's a lot of things that I got. It was a different level. It was a higher.
No, I believe
it was a higher level.
Because I can recall as a young fella in football, I clearly recall teams like Hurricane, Queen's Park Rangers, Hanved, Autumns. There were some teams that when you heard these teams, you're talking football at a particular level.
We grew up following that system and being. When I always say when St. Andrews Football League it started, I remember us playing in Progress Park, coming up, and more or less I played in all the genuine fields over the island, and even the secondary school games. Our time in the secondary school games, the quality of football was much higher than it is. I'm sorry for just basically track and field that I could step over to. Now, as I continue to say, that with regards to the availability of equipment and all the improvements and all the like, this is why I said that. And I always tell the guys, the Trevor, the Don, say to all these guys, in our time, because of the financial situation, and it was not available. But we have to be thankful for what sports has given us and given our career, whether we go on professionally or not. That was what we get. Now these guys, the money is available, and what it is, they deserve every bit of it.
Yes.
They also deserve the Karanis, the
Lyndon Victor
and all these guys. Sorry for not just spitting out the name. They deserve what they get. But it's a pity that some very good sportsmen of ours, you see how they end up, and was not given the support. But then again, it was what it was. That is my contention. When you talk about track and field, I have to say, Trevor Modeste today is one of Grenada's greatest. And I think if you basically go to the Central American and Caribbean, Trevor's a achievement.
Oh, yeah.
And all of these things, from Carifta, from junior to what it is. Trevor Wernick, Trevor Modest. He was a James. I remember him being James.
Yeah, he used to be James in SAS, yeah. Trevor James in SAS,
But Trevor has done, that guy has contributed. You're talking about me contribute? Trevor has been instrumental in the development of sport and being an athlete that I could call mentor up to today.
No, Trevor, we went to SAS, so I know.
So when I speak, his name, I'm Donald Pierre.
Oh, yes.
But I was like on young guys in the days of Ellis Maitland and Lando from
Walter Simmons, yes.
I want to call him. Yeah. So I have had the experience, and I learned from these kids. When I come from Mexico, I know I was a coach, but only athlete. Because that is how I turn an athlete in my lane, is you have to learn. It's not like the level 1s, level 2s, level 3s of training that was available now. That is available now. That we had. When we talk about Conrad returning from Cuba, there was a lot, even at that stage, where I learned, because I thought I was at a level before he arrived. So it's all about my training and my thing came from working in Grenville, especially, and coaching in all the various different.
Because we also had the Eastern Games in Grenville, which was at the national level, quite an exciting game.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the athletes who came down to Whitsuntide Games, the Eastern Games was the sort of springboard, to come down. So there was quite a lot, So we fast forwarding again, Goaty, and at the administrative level now. So you've been in the various associations, but you've had some challenges, so much so that I came across an article late last year, November, in the New Today, where you made an attempt to address some unjust, defamatory portrayal of yourself within the committee. What actually happened? Let's talk about this. I would like to hear about it, because I'll tell you why. Being a former athlete myself, I know of your contribution. I know what you have put into it. As I said again, I have benefited as well. So I know what you've done for sports, track and field in particular. But there seemed to be some issues where it had to go to the court. What actually happened? What was it?
Let me address it this way. I was initial executive member of the Grenada Olympic Committee. In 1994, I was part of the initial executive put together to participate in the 1984 Olympics. Prior to that, we could say athlete, track and field, and boxing were the two major sports that had some. In those days, you could have your two best athletes in any given Olympic sports could have gotten an opportunity to go Olympics. We didn't basically have the money.
Right.
The government, or whatever it is, the interim government at the time, I think it was, the genesis of it is, the history of it starts with, you would hear that Grenada had a team or part, was guest, and let me put it right, Grenada was guest in 1980 to that Olympics in Moscow, where America boycotted the Olympics. We must think about it. The truth is the truth. We were associated with Cuba and the
Soviet Union at the time.
And the like, based on our thing. And efforts were made. So we were invited to participate, just like you have now. In those days, there was a pre-Olympic, to give athletes a chance to prepare or participate. Grenada was invited. We had two representatives in track and field. That was Donald Pierre and Ellis Maitland.
Right.
The president of the Grenada Athletic and Cycling Association at the time was Kid Joseph.
Kid Joseph, right, yes.
And he accompanied the team. We couldn't afford to send 4 people.
Right.
So I got left. Whatever it is. So the genesis of it began in there. And I always say it is my belief. There's no record of it, or we don't have the thing. Remember, Grenada is supposed to be the 51st state of the U.S.
Right.
Imagine, for 4 years we tried. And publicly I want to speak about it because we seem to mash down everything, revolution and all that like. Publicly, we got invited. 4 years later, 4 years we wasn't able to break the store. Revolution crash, put it that way. Between August of 1980, was it 84?
83? Well,
83,
yeah, 83.
whatever it is. And August of 1994, Grenada was able to get into the Olympics, get accepted within 1 year, because the games was in the United States. That in itself was a great defeat. The interim government, or the minister, and I tell you what, I remember it. And people need to know this because we talk about documenting. And I could also tip it in. I went to a lovely function, and I appreciate, at the museum, and I was so excited about what the museum is doing, because the thing is education, research, and documentation with regards to the historic thing of it. And I said, that was we were in the process of that 20 years ago with regards to documentation, taking track and field, because I was interviewed by people I know, so it was happening. And this was part of my revelation, or revealing to them that I could remember being invited to a meeting. Cecil Greenwich was the coordinator of sports. That's another name.
I remember,
you don't hear.
I remember him.
You don't hear his name. You don't hear him recognized. But he was as sports. John Diabo was there in saying. I was involved in athletics. I was, so they brought together a committee, the Patty Manual, whatever, and Cecil coordinated it. And we made an application. I could pick up a document there to show you. The first, I walk with it in because the first typewritten constitution we had with the signature of John Diabo and Royston Leahy as President and General Secretary. That was typed by Michelle Hercules. Michelle Hercules and Mrs. Dow, Margaret Dow, were the 2 ladies involved. One was John and Michelle was tight, and she used to be like that, and Mrs. Dow was either the PS or cabinet secretary, something like at that level. So they were heavily involved. There were a few of us with regards to association, including Mr. Lai. I am not too certain if Walter St. John or who the other was for it, but I know Cecil Greenwich was the
he
person,
was very instrumental.
So most of us actually, I was involved, went to the first Olympics. It was America bringing us. Right? So we went, it was a big team, including Ray Roberts and other people were involved in Olympic sport. And it took off from then. It was all about John Diabo and Cecil and so working.
I remember John Diabo very well.
It was as I said, in 1983, after John passed, I will always say the 1984 committee was basically an ad hoc committee. It has changed. People came in. In actual fact, we were visited in 1991 by Anthony Samaranch, who was the president of the International Olympic Committee. He came to Grenada for whatever reason. He visited us. And we struggled in 1984. Well, we already didn't struggle. 1988 was a sort of struggle with regards to finance. And who could have gone? There was a boxer, I think. We had 2 or 3 athletes. The officials, I think it was Conrad Coach. and Bunny Wilson, the now president, must have been the coaches on that team, if I can remember, because at that time
Bunny was involved in boxing at the time.
Yeah. He was the first boxer. He actually went through a second round or thereabout at the 1984 Olympics. So he was that way. 1988, I can't remember exactly the team, but it was the same sort of representative team. I was again in 1992 in Barcelona.
Right.
That's another story.
Right.
So, not officially as the part of the delegation, but part of eventually as a. So actually, and that is when I knew I don't ever go back to the Olympics or try to, because work came first.
Yeah.
And I was not going to prejudice my present career for anything sports.
Right.
So that was my involvement in the Grenada Olympic Association as administrator.
Right.
In 1994, in actual fact, I was the first challenger for Mr. Royce and I back in 1994 when I challenged him for the presidency.
Right.
Don't laugh at me.
No, of course. I mean, that's...
So, as it was, what the results could have been or what it was then. So I actually took a break. I didn't give up track and field. I was involved in... I didn't give up Olympics, but I had my back. I worked, I was involved, I continued to volunteer in wherever and however I could be. So that basically was it. Between 1995, as the year went by, I sort of backed off. In actual fact, I decided when it comes to administration, for the Grenada football.
Right.
In those days, St. Paul's Sports Culture and Organization, we played football. We actually, it was when a lot of us went back, we got promotion and the like. And like to boast about it, St. Paul's again. I didn't go representing council because they know that was my forte. Went into the Grenada football, and we normally polls is that we create an action folks, or even Jenny Joseph. St. Paul's participation in council meeting was not George Robinson. I came with what we did.
Right.
So and that was a period where the actual football federation developed. They were like the Ashley Ram folks thing, and then there was the new kid on the block thing, and it was just like NDC and NM with regards to football.
Right.
But it was good for the sport, right? And so I was being part of that. So I remained in the system until I got into confusion because of my comments and openness about the Grenada Olympic Committee. And moving from Norway from 1994 to 2004. So I spoke up. In whatever way I did, maybe write articles, Then in 2009, because of the Aline Francis whole issue, is a story to that or whatever it is, I spoke out.
Right.
I didn't even realize I asked questions about the funds raised for the Aline Francis project. And it was based on where I made the comments, it was upsetting. It's not something I apologize for in any case.
Right.
Because it was the truth. There was no accounting of these millions of dollars that the came was raised. The secretary and the president of the Grenada Olympic Association take themselves out. In the sense that it was not as a company that was a group that was organized.
Yeah, but
my question was, how could you talk about the Olympic and Olympians and they're not involved?
Well, I was about to ask you
but that was my first grievance. I didn't even know until a few years ago who actually formed the committee. I was of the opinion it was the Grenada Olympic Committee. It gave me a chance at that point in time. 2005, speak up. In 2005, elections. 2009, I think it was elections. I followed. I know the Constitution. I know Constitution. I know law. Compliance and whatever it is. You know, people know me as Goaty Robinson. I have never worked except second in the ministry. So my profession from 1985 to 2019 was insurance.
Right.
But I always, because of the positions I hold, sport and the companies I work for, they know what my passion and what my career was in. So I had freedom, you know. So in 2009 and 2005, Ray Roberts, Michael Bascom, all these people wrote articles, they spoke out, but I seems to be the one that was targeted. So I needed to find a way to put things right.
So you're just stick a pin there. So you questioned the accountability of the money.
Transparency and accountability.
We're talking how much money we're talking about there?
Well, according to the funds raised, without prejudice, and it was said that over $100,000, close to $1 million. Maybe some people exaggerate, but I know it was over $100,000 raised towards Arlene Fancy.
Right, and that was for Arlene's program to the Olympics?
It was a fundraiser because not only, when we talk in Olympics, it's not only track and field.
Yeah, of course.
Arlene was the star. Arlene was the one expected to win a medal. So like the other, like all we have the Kiranis, our expectations were high.
Right.
So he was when you raise Grenada Olympic funds, it's for Olympics.
Right.
Anybody who qualifies.
Yeah,
Arlene was
they would benefit for that. Right.
Arlene was a specific target at that point in time. Right. In 2009, I looked at what is happening here with the Grenada Olympics Committee, and I thought I could have made a commitment after advising the people. This is not right. The way special quadrennial meetings are held, it is unconstitutional, and this should have stopped since in 2009. Because I thought I had people involved at the top level giving me support, and it would have gone. By the time 2012 come, and the whole thing exploded, and Grenada got rich where we reached, the monies at that point in time with regards to Olympics and whatever it is, it was easy. Oh, as far as I know, and that is one of the things that I said. Events was organized to raise funds to send teams. You had to make up a certain amount before you could go over there. That was in place. Funds was raised and people contributed. By 2012, it was basically the same with the coming of Kirani. I didn't want to involve in that all. But the accountability and the way.
But let me ask: at the time when all of this was happening, who was the president of the association at the time?
Well, it's obvious that Mr. Lahey was president from 1984 to 2021.
I mean, he's been president for a very, very long time.
I will send you a Ray Roberts article. Ray Roberts was executive officer. In actual fact, he was one of the board of directors, the first board of directors. And we have articles. When I spoke what I wrote, it was nothing with regards to they called me inimical. That's why they didn't. I'm still considered inimical today, as we speak, to the Grenada Olympic Committee. But that is their thing. The final straw that I had after 2012 was to use. I wrote to the various associations. I wrote to the board. There was no board. Yeah, there was a board, and all affiliates, and wrote in the press that the way the special quadrennial meetings are held is unconstitutional. Maybe I used very strong words: shady, corrupt, and unconstitutional.
Right.
That was the genesis of the whole court scene, because the President Royston Lahey went on a George Grant program, and based talking and George Grant, whatever. I didn't turn up on the program because George Grant, and the guy just called me and said, because he went on that program and talked about I speak as a nonsense and whatnot, or I called for the 2013 quadrennial meeting to be considered null and void. I've heard that there was it was whereby the executives, and Ray Roberts wrote, I think on it, the executives were, when they dismissed office at this election, they just had the power to vote sitting down in council as members of council. That was unconstitutional.
So based on the constitution, how was it supposed to happen?
Like everything else.
Okay.
Elections.
Right.
Okay? Even from the Athletic Association, Football Association, and otherwise. The day of elections, everybody steps down.
Right.
Right?
So all offices are demeted.
Yeah. The president have a voting, if he's not really, because he stays in as the first, the last vice president.
Right.
Right? But everybody in the area who knows administration and sports and what they step down. An affiliate, financial affiliate, supposed to, when the nominations come out, supposed to nominate them if they want to get back in.
Right, okay. So that person should be nominated.
Okay. And they could run for office, and they could stay, because the Constitution does not provide for any period of remaining in office.
Right, okay.
But the fact that there was at least 3-4 people over this period of time contesting for the presidency position and can't make you're bound to lose. Because I was 6 or so executive members being in council with voting powers.
But based on what you're telling me, these people should not be holding office when the election has been held.
Well, the officers step down according to the Constitution, and somebody must nominate you.
Right. But that did not happen.
That did not happen. Okay. In actual fact, I was proven right when the judge gave her judgment. She couldn't make me an individual member, accept me as a member. But with regards to my claim that the elections were held unconstitutionally, that was the ruling of judgment. The president, Mr. Royston Lahey, in trial admitted that I was right and that it should not have been.
So why, as president, he did not declare the election null and void, and then
the problem is that they have classified. I've never really been involved in administration of Olympics or any national sports since 1994. Right? So my take is, I wanted to make a contribution. There was an opportunity for me to make change, bring about change within the federation. So that was my case. That's my case. At the end of the day, I know what I have contributed, where I came from and where I was at a point in time. So I took on the challenge. The people expected to really back me on it from inside. Yes, until the day come for elections.
I mean, I've been privy to some documentation where people did, give you their word that they would support you.
Yeah, that's being so. But you know how we are. And at the end of the day, I don't have to go into no gossip of people coming to me to tell me it's time for Vida and Lahey and them to go.
Right.
They too long. That's not Vida and Lahey and the problem. The problem is council.
Right.
When I addressed the in 2024, when the GOC had, after years of me getting involved with it, had called me to a meeting, because I demanded, in actual fact, I had the legal process in place to demand that the third item on the judge's ruling was that they should give me a fair hearing.
Right.
I wrote them, and in 2024 is when I said time is up, that I need, and it was prior Olympics, because they all gathered, Olympics is it, we go in. And I said, no, this is not right for me. I travel, I go abroad, and in the diaspora, people think that I win big case matters. And I sue the Olympic Committee, so I'm supposed to be rich like that. My thing to the council is, the false accusation about me wanting to get rid of the executive or the board of directors or who trying to was totally false.
So that was actually leveled at you. The word out there was that.
That was Mr. Lahey's contention and the George Grant program.
Oh, okay.
That was it, my attack was not on the board of directors or the executive. It's the council that did not support me, or the people involved with regards to, because the council, the executive and no power if the council decide to rule and vote against it.
Right.
I mean, in anything.
But the matter that went before the court, it was for what? For them to follow the Constitution.
My contention was the elections, the special quadrennial meeting that is held every 4 years, has been held
unconstitutionally.
Yes, I do.
And so that was the matter that was taken to court.
Yeah.
And the court ruled that it should happen.
Yeah, I mean.
But so following the ruling, what happened with the committee? Did they, follow the ruling of the court?
That is one of the things that infuriated me recently over the last 12 or so months, or what it is. When in 2024, I've never been involved. In actual fact, the first time I ever see inside the Olympic House was when I went for the hearing on 5th of March 2024. I stay away. So, my contention is that if the council did not support me, or whatever it is, the affiliates didn't support me, I could deal with it individually.
That is to ensure that what is done in accordance with the Constitution.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I have been told that the last election in 2020, or the elections that were held in 2021, was done constitutionally.
It was. Okay.
I have no evidence for it because I've been asking. I need to see something, even the Constitution that was amended.
Right.
Because I even have some issues having the when I say issues, making comments in the sense, if I should say it, that the Grenada Olympic Committee becoming Inc. and has a board of directors to manage the affairs of the Grenada Olympic Committee.
Right.
Because a non-profit organization is the board of directors that should take. I mean, wherever I worked, 90% of them was on the board.
Right.
And I know about compliance. And the management of the Grenada Olympic Association, when it became Grenada Olympic Committee Inc., I think the board of directors are the ones responsible. I saw a document a long time ago. I'm trying to put my hand on it. I was trying to get a present constitution of the Grenada Olympic Committee, which seems to be would only be in the hands of a few.
Right.
So the two areas was that of the disciplinary committee. I think they would have had, and there would be no trustees. And I suppose old school, know that the trustees were the ones responsible for the whole financial oversight of the associations and the like. I'm told in discussion with people that does not exist now, as it has become but that in itself puts the GOC in a position with the guard in the guards. So when I hear about all these scandals that has been going on, and they calling me inimical, and I know what it makes one inimical. It is clearly stated in the Constitution. We're talking about members. Then instead of talking about me being outside, but it says about the members, whether it's an individual, whether it's an executive or otherwise. If there is anything about within the Grenada Olympic Association, last months I knew, before I take this final action, was that there was a big newspaper article saying within the Grenada Olympic Association, the finance committee accusing the members of, well, I would think maybe the executive of financial inappropriation.
So that was an article in the newspaper?
In the newspaper.
Right.
Big, coming out after the new president is there. The whole boost about things can't happen under this new leadership and the like. My investigation, or my inquiries, not investigation, seems to say that if there was an investigation, there was no public. And mind you, from the time the Grenada Olympic Committee came into in 2009, I know that was a public committee. I don't need the support of anybody. I'm a Grenadian, and I could speak out as much as I want.
Well, of course. I mean, once the facts is clear, I mean, there's
so my last article is the one calling for. It actually includes calling for an investigation into the whatever it is, the funds or whatever it is inside, because somebody is either the accuser or the accused had to be 10 times, 100 times more inimical to the Grenada Olympic Association than me. In June of 2024, I had new. I reapplied in March when I went and gave the hearing, and after the hearing I applied, they heard me. Still come back without a reason, just like as the judge ruled, that I'm inimical to the Grenada Olympic Association. I mean, I don't want to go pleading to anybody.
How does one become a member of that? You mentioned applying. Do you have to apply to the committee to be what?
The Constitution 6 provides for affiliates, but if you have, there's a section that nobody pays attention to, that you can apply if you think you have contributed to sport, not only Olympic sport, but you have contributed at a certain level, you could qualify to be an individual member of the Olympic Committee.
Okay.
They thought that was I only wanted to come in on the Olympic Committee to what?
So you were never part of the Olympic Committee?
Yeah, between 1974, 1984 and 1994.
So you were what? You were thrown out? You were voted out? What?
Well, no. As I said, based on the way in 1992. Give it history, and I'm going to go 1992 because I have it all documented. 1992, while we were in Barcelona, we got together and we decided with John that we're going to make sure by 1994, a proper administrative structure will be set up. We will make sure, according to the Constitution, we have a duly elected and not like an appointed executive where we were operating, the way we were operating. Unfortunately, God bless his soul, John Diabo passed in 1993. And as though John was a nobody. I'm sorry. Everybody, and maybe I took offense with it and whatever thing, and go out to campaign against Royston, blah, blah, blah. That is history. That was the end of my administrative Olympic career, as a fact. But that doesn't take you out of the...
No, I mean, you're a Grenadian, you've contributed to sports generally, so
this basically was the genesis and the final stage of the court matter. George Robinson versus the Grenada Olympic Committee.
So that matter, that court matter is now what? Is it settled, or the court has ruled and what should be done? Well, you did say that you were told that the last election was in accordance with the Constitution. Yeah. But there are
a lot of things. I mean, I don't have to hold back on the way I feel or the way people, the support I have as a voice, and a lone voice, but there are a lot of people who feel the same way I do and support my advocacy. There's no question about that. So what my contribution still is that the council members who were present at that meeting on the 5th of March, they need to be educated. The way they were embarrassingly I wonder if embarrassing is just not too a simple word. Their behavior, they invited me, according to the court, to a meeting whereby I should be given a fair hearing.
Right.
At that meeting, and I wrote the General Secretary after, that meeting was so, what's the right word I'm supposed to use? Disrespectful. The council members. First of all, I reached there for 5 o'clock, the meeting. Let me talk about it. 5 o'clock for the meeting. At 10:15, 20 past 5, they were not even to form a quorum. Right? They walked in as though they're coming, because whoever called to beg them to come must have said it's a short meeting. I prepared for days with a possible address that would have been about half an hour.
Right.
Because I have the freedom to speak. It's my time. You all come and listen.
And that's based on the court ruling.
Court ruling.
Right.
Right? So, but I have gone through a lot. I know how the system works and whatever it is. I have patiently waited. What got me was the disrespectful manner, some of them walking late and what going on. And immediately a quorum was formed. It started. I put aside my prepared 7.5 minutes to 10 minutes address because I wanted to be open and talk. But with that behavior, I just talked. I gave them my history, my involvement in Olympism and whatever it is and all the like. And at the end of the day, I gave them an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. I must have wanted to say the word. I mean, I knew about 5 persons in the room, including 3 who was at that meeting in 2014 when the Olympic Committee decided that they cannot make me an individual member because I'm considered inimical to the well-being of the association. I take that as a joke. You know, I know that it is going further, right? So I know how I could deal with that. The court, and there's only the court. So the situation is, after in June 2024, after all this thing, I'm still considered inimical without a reason why. I don't have time to waste to go back to court. In actual fact, the judgment was 1, all my legal fees be paid. 2, that I get they must give me a fair hearing. 3, I can't remember, but these were the 2 key ones that I focused on.
So you did not get a fair hearing because you said that. Did you? But were your legal fees paid?
Yeah. I mean, there's still some outstanding legal fees I intend to fight somewhere or whatever it is, because between 2022 and 2024, I had to engage legal thing to 1, make sure that I get a hearing, which was held, and the results come back still that I'm still inimical.
Right.
While inside the federation, there are people who are what is a bigger word than inimical?
But wait, hold on. Let's just go back a little bit. I mean, for the benefit of people who listen and probably don't understand. According to the Constitution, according to the Constitution, right? The word inimical is used to describe what kind of behavior. In other words, that is not to make you a member. What explain based on the Constitution what inimical there means?
That means according to mine, I could only talk about mine. The Constitution have the word inimical in it. The court hearing or whatever it is, inimical is there. I saying that I could only be inimical by my speaking the truth and doing it publicly, right? Because if there is some, and this is where I'm not too sure, the present Constitution says Before I say wrong thing, I think I have a copy of that section of the Constitution somewhere. Anyway, is that if they think that I'm a threat to the well-being of the association in any kind of way, meaning that speaking out against the thing, that I'm trying to, according to the fame, the character of the executive.
But if what you're saying, I mean, you see what I don't understand. If what you're saying is in line with what the Constitution speaks to, then what makes you inimical?
Well, I'm trying to find that out now. They are in 2024. Send me a letter saying again with my reapplication to my lawyers that they once again find me to be inimical to the well-being of the thing. That is it, without an explanation or otherwise of what makes me inimical.
Right, because this is what I'm trying to find out. But so that being said, the court has ruled. Let me ask you, at this stage, do you still have interest in being a member of the committee?
I can't, Godfrey. You know, I talk about my reputation. I was twice elected president of the Grenada Track and Field Association, Athletic Association. I was a vice president. I went back years after as a first vice president to Charles George in a storm when there was the term of Bobby Benjamin.
Yes,
we replaced him. On two occasions. One, when I realized that I couldn't control, because that's my thing, coming from the community. You didn't have control of what was going on, and to be simpler, undermined by the people who were supposed to be working with you. Okay. I didn't need that in my life. Straight, that's the way I see it. I decided, I had the reputation in 1980, in the 80s, between 79 and 83, whereby in sport, especially track and field, you remember that serious rival country town issue? Yeah. I brought a lot of peace. I mean, I got the support of people like Mr. Clouden and Mr. Dr. Pitt and so. You clean that up. Let's make a difference. It went on. When I resigned because I couldn't get that kind of support, right? I resigned. There was the issue, it was Devon George that brought it to my attention. But when I was asked I was basically in the academy in Trinidad at the time, going out, basically. They wanted to change the executive, but there was still that country town flavor. I think it was 1991 or something there. And I said, I will come in, providing that it was an election, that if I did beat Bobby Benjamin by at least 2 or 3 votes, because I know what was going on, I would not accept the presidency. I made it clear, and I came back, they said they won by 1 vote. The only change was, I think Devon must have gotten as assistant secretary or something, but the same executive more or less remained. I say I can't control that. I immediately sent him everything. I have the articles in the newspaper, Ray and so in the newspaper at the time. I have them there. Criticizing me, the disappointment they have in me, the confidence the country, and that word gets to me. Had confidence in me, and look at how I treated them. It was not about. I had my condition. I went away. I went back in with Mr. Charlie George as a vice president, and after the next election, I didn't run for office.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But it's still, I learned to be that kind of peacemaker. So that was, but as I say, Godfrey, it is just, I don't want to be part of anything. I said since 2009, I advised deceased Tootsie Payne and Derek Steele, who genuinely was not the kind of people accepted as simply like they're not, you don't know them,
right?
You don't trust them, or whatever it is. Confidence given to them that they would succeed the president and all that, because it's only the president and the secretary position that has not changed for over 3 decades. So it has its politics. I'm talking about it, because we hear talking, and I know how you think. It's not about wanting to be anything or even wanting to be bad, but I've made my contribution.
Of course, and no one can take it away from you.
And there might be a lot at that time. One of the things that I say to people, I've seen what is, with regards to sport, I think they need to have a lot of education with regards to coming up with sports policy. Mm-hmm. Because already I'm getting the sense that people think the sports policy could change the various affiliated associations to the Grenada Olympic Committee. That is the furthest from the truth. The government has its responsibility. Mm-hmm. You know, like long ago we used to say government can't get involved in sports and things, and so that is
government get involved in anything they want.
Well, no, but it's the world. It's the world.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's the world. It's not Grenada. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's the world. Mm-hmm. So people have to understand that the Grenada Olympic Committee and various associations affiliated have the responsibility. That was what I was trying to bring to the GOC. And that was clear. I was clear on what my whatever I call it, ulterior motive was of becoming an individual member. It was not a secret.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They didn't maybe like how I put it, about educating the council members and whatnot. But they seem to have changed. Reputable people don't say, right? The latest I could understand why I'm still inimical to the GOC, Godfree. Let me tell the Grenadian people. Let me tell the Grenadian people. And furthermore, a selling it as a buy because it's facts. But you're a board of directors in anything, whether it's business or anything. 5 people resign out of 9. And it comes like a casual resignation. When I hear and you just move on, calling an election, and well, I really got interested when I learned that Chenny Joseph did not run. He acted as, after Charlie George resigned within 12 months, Chenny Joseph acted as the interim president.
Right.
Why did Chenny not run? As I say, how did Bonnie go unopposed to become president of the Grenada Olympic Association? That is the way I learned it. So I ask questions. I know what it is. I see a George from the same paper that they blows in me about, taking it. I see an article with Bonnie Wilson, the new president, what the expectation of his becoming president is. And then you're telling me within months 5 people resigning. So
after he became president, you had 5 people resigning.
Subject to correction with that one. They would have resigned before Bonnie became president.
Okay.
Definitely, because Chenny acted as a...
Right, okay.
Right?
And then Bonnie was elected.
And then Bonnie was elected.
Okay.
You know, people... My experience at that council meeting, without fear, I say it, you're fearless at this point in time. These people representing the various affiliates, the people representing the organization, trust me, I don't think they even know the true responsibilities within the organization. I wonder, I could understand why these organizations function like they do. And it is the responsibility of the executive and now the board of directors to give directions.
Right. But that does it happen or not?
I don't know. Just check out. As I say, if within a finance committee could accuse senior executive people within the association about a misappropriation of not $100,000 but $400,000, I could call them out because it's in the public domain.
Yes, I've seen that.
Right?
So it was the finance committee of that organization that accused people of misappropriation.
I read this George Matic article. Yeah, George Matic of September 24th.
Yeah, I think I saw a copy of that. Yeah,
You see,
in fact, I have it here.
I think, no, not, that is my article.
Okay.
Well, it must have been mentioned there. I know. So I'm saying, Godfrey, I am saying, if the council members of the various associations cannot, because they have the power, it's not the board of directors, to ensure.
Right. So the article here says one small part of it. The Grenada Olympic Committee Inc. is a registered company in the state of Grenada, owned by the people of Grenada. Its board of directors entrusted with all management and leadership affairs. Controversies and scandals have been brought into the public domain by individuals and groups within the GOC, including calls for an investigation into EC 400,000 that remains unaccounted for by the executive, the resignation of 5 out of 9 board members, and calls for other executive members to step down. These are serious allegations. So is there published on page 10 of the New Today, and that was the week ending Friday, November 29, 2024. So it's in the public domain.
Yeah, that's where I learned about it. You know, so I am, as I say, there might be, and my investigations doesn't show anything that there has been an investigation into it, and there's a committee. I think, I don't know what it's called right now, a disciplinary committee that replaces the responsibility of the committee. It's within the GSC, the structures of the Olympic Committee now that is responsible for disciplinary action. Somewhere along the line, there should be some form of discipline by some party within the Grenada Olympic administrative structure. All we want to know is who was penalized. I am interested because if I remain inimical to the GOC and have done nothing except support and stand up for my rights, my legal right, my constitutional right according to the GOC constitution to become an individual member of the Grenada Olympic Committee between 2013 and 2024.
Yeah, I've seen a number of articles, that has expressed concerns about the GOC. I don't have all the information in there, but I'm just going based on some of the articles I see, that has been publicized. Letters that have been exchanged between people about it and the concerns, and maybe with all of that, it gives cause to lift an eyebrow, and I think there's good enough reason to look into what is happening to ensure that things run smoothly. Because my thing here, with the strides we've made in sports, track and field to be specific, if that kind of thing continues and there's this back and forth and all of these things in the public domain, it can seriously impact the sport.
Let me tell you something about it. My concern is, I don't want, one of the things I'm sure of, and people could tell me, I don't want to bring, I could have brought the GOC, but my experience with the FIFA involved in the GFA at a given thing and the FIFA investigations and whatnot, within that thing, that was a learning experience. Serious. And you know that if I'm told, subject to correction, that I don't know if it's the Caribbean Olympic Association or somebody, but there was some letter regards sent to one of these parent bodies, because you know we want to pass or we belong the Olympic or whatever it is. That in itself, any misappropriation of funds, I think, are not accounted for. You can't say the person pay back the money, or maybe the board of directors, or but that committee who is responsible will say, okay, they ain't taking no action against them, so just pay back the money, and it's all right. It is not all right.
But that is if in fact and in truth there's misappropriation of funds. I mean, one would have to show evidence of that.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. I'm making an issue of it because the Constitution says that somebody within the system should be held accountable for making the public accusation.
Right. Why? In other words, why has this allegation been leveled in the public domain?
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Bring it out to us. Because that's what you do to me, and you're doing to me up to today. I mean, it ain't making my career cannot be tarnished as they accuse me of tarnishing their reputation or bringing into disrepute the members of the executive of the 2013. That's how many years.
And that's what that's an executive that served from when?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, really and truly, it would have been the elections of 2013 plus. It's more or less the same executive.
Okay, wonderful.
You know.
So I mean, we're getting close to wrap-up time, but as things stand now, so the matter went to court. You got your hearing, not fair as you expected. Where are we now?
Is with regards to the, as I say what my feel I want. All I requested at the mediation that the president and the thing was, all I requested, and it's still me, I think just as how they need to explain to me and the Grenadian public what makes me George Robinson inimical to the Grenada Olympic Committee.
Okay.
They have taken a unanimous decision at council level to do that. Tell me. Say what makes me...
Yeah, you're inimical because XYZ.
XYZ.
I understand.
There's a reason for that. And if I don't like it, then I could take it back to the court.
Yeah, I understand.
I must be given the opportunity to say, are these people serious? Is really and truly they want to take me down to let it remain dead or alive as being... What should I do?
You know, George, it's unfortunate that things like that happen because
somebody has to speak out at sometimes.
And I'm saying that because of the contribution you've made to the development of sports in Grenada. You know, it's rather unfortunate that things had to get that way. But let's hope that all of this can be settled, because it would be a shame for these kinds of behavior and all of this back and forth in the public domain get to a point where the actual sport is affected, and it's just not a nice thing.
But Jeff, Godfrey, my issues have been going on. I had a whole 2013 to 2022. I've spoken now. I mean, speak up, and all the thing is just a matter of now. The present counsel, the disrespect. How do I sit and think that these are the people who have been talking about the head being in place, and they lead and have done, and there's so much that I could talk about. But if I go that route, it will be families are destroying.
Yeah.
And
You
don't want to go there.
So basically, at this stage, after all that's happened, you just want to feel satisfied that the allegations or the accusations leveled at you of being inimical is explained.
It's explained, and it has to be done publicly because it's in public domain. I was accused. That brought it to court.
Okay. Goaty, I'm sure we would get to chat again sometime, but we out of time, and so I thank you for accepting the invitation to come and sit with me and chat sports. I mean, and that's the thing. When we talk sports, it's not just athletes performing on the track or on the field. There's a lot more involved, like these kinds of issues that happen at the administrative levels. All of that incorporates sports because it's important. And if these matters, if at the administrative level things are not operating smoothly, then it definitely will spill over into
it has affected the development now. It has affected the development now. Thank God to our athletes' performance.
Yes.
And that is when, I don't make a few benefits where hundreds get left.
Right. Okay. So, Goaty, thank you once again. Thank you very much. Thank you to those of you listening. It's a pleasure. We'll try and continue our discussions on Wednesday evening here on K105 FM. Talking about different areas and bringing information out there. So, thank you. I'll be back with you tomorrow evening from 6 o'clock, and of course, we'll do this all over again. So, until then, do have a good night. All the best.